In this video, I'm going to take you through a basic workflow on how to get from a sketch to parts that are inserted into that sketch into an iCopy design that you're going to use, which is driven by some parts that you've created in another assembly. So the first thing that we do with the iCopy, which is created using skeletal modeling and adaptivity, is create your skeleton sketch. The skeleton sketch over here needs to also be adaptive. So if you just right click on that sketch over there, you'll see that adaptive is clicked on. If I go into the sketch, let's take a look at how it's been created. You'll see that all the dimensions are driven dimensions. So that means that when I do bring it into the assembly, you'll see that I can move it and adjust it accordingly. It's not locked down by any dimensions, which will fix it there. Permanent dimensions. Okay, so what I've also done over here is I've created some work planes and some additional sketches over here. You can see sketch 2 to sketch 7, which will be used to create the components that will be driven by the skeleton sketch that I've created. The next step we do is we open up an assembly, and from the assembly over here, we will bring in our skeleton frame. Now, one thing you need to know about the skeleton frame, it has to be grounded. So you can either place the skeleton frame inside. Just to show you quickly, so place skeleton frame, and then once you've done in here, you can right click and place grounded at the origin. So what it does, it actually grounds that to the origin over there. So you can see that it's actually been grounded over my first skeleton frame start, which is also grounded to the origin over there. Okay, this is essential when creating iCopies, as if it's not grounded, things can go a bit awry. So just be careful of that. If you are not able to, or you haven't got a version of AutoCAD, Inventor, sorry, that supports the right click place grounded, you can just go and sort of flush constraints or mate constraints the YZ, XZ, and XY plane of the origin to the YZ, XZ, sort of the YZ, XZ, and the XY plane of your sketch over here. You'll see that it hasn't actually been constrained over here because it's been constrained to other work planes, user work planes that I've created along the way. The next step is to author this sketch with the iCopy author. So with the iCopy author, if I select on that, you'll see there it brings up this iCopy author dialog box. The first thing is we select the layout part, which is your skeleton frame, and then we select the geometry over here. So with this geometry over here, it has already been selected. Okay, and if I click on point 1, you'll see there it's where's a little blue. It does highlight blue here somewhere, but what you can use is either sketch points or the ends of the ends of the sketch or the sketch lines that you've created. So if I select on point 1, you'll see there's a little green dot over there. Point 2, the little green dot jumps to over here. Point 3, the green dot jumps to over here. And then point 4 is, I can't see it right now. There it's over there. Okay, so there's the little green dots over there. Then give it a label. This label helps identify exactly what is going to, which point is going to follow which path which you've created in your other assembly. The next step is to test out your sketch, just to make sure that the iCopy does in fact work before adding on all the other parts, and you find out that it doesn't work and you've got to go back to scratch anyway. So I'm going to go and open up my target assembly, and this target assembly over here will have my path. So you can see over there this path over here, which actually flows all the way, and it goes, there's sort of some 3D paths over here, which sort of nice curves. And what I'm going to do is the profile that I've just created, or the skeleton profile I've just created, is going to follow those 4 points that I defined in my iCopy author. It's going to follow these 4 points over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my iCopy pattern. So, so I think it was placed under components previously, and it's sort of migrated to your pattern panel over here. So select on the pattern drop-down arrow and click on iCopy. Then it'll ask me which one would I like, and I'm going to say frame start assembly, and it brings that in. Okay. So a preview of the pattern comes in over here, and it asks me for my lower left point. So that'll be that point over there. And you'll see how it'll start to adjust. Lower right, upper left, and then my lower left. Okay, so you can see how it's able to conform and twist to those points over there. You'll see that I've got a parameter, frame H and frame W, and what this purports to is these dimensions that I have for my frames that run it. So the width and the height of the frame that runs all the way through. So I can make that thicker or thinner. The next step is to go through to my occurrence tab or path pattern tab, and you'll notice there that the rails have been ticked because it's picked up that these points are on these rails over here. If they aren't ticked, then what you do is just select it and go and click on the path that you want to be associated with the lower left point, the lower right, upper left, and upper right point. Next thing we need to do is select the path that is going to follow. So I'm going to select this blue path over here. And you'll notice there now that two work planes have been created. Now, if this does not occur, so you can see there I've got, if I just type in 100 inches, you'll see there that I've now got two copies at 100 inches away. I'm just going to look at it from the top over here. Okay, so you can see there, it's actually running at a bit of a weird angle over there. So I'm going to go back to my path. I'm going to say, let's go run it on this path over there. And I think it'll be a little bit better. And then what I'll do is it's say 100 inches, not 100 inches. And you'll see there that it's actually created it 100 inches away from that original work plane. Now, if you cannot see this work plane and this preview over here, this work plane over here signifies that you have to select a work plane where your copy is going to start from. So if I selected these points over here, obviously it's going to follow these lines, but if I had a work plane lying, say for instance in the middle over here, I could select that work plane, and that's where it would create its first iCopy of the assembly that I'm bringing in. So I'm going to say, right, let's have 8 of them, and you can see there how even the work plane gets larger as it tends to the path that has been created on. Select next. Now what it does, it tells me, would you like to copy or reuse your iCopy components? Okay. The first time I did this was just with a part. This doesn't come up because it's just one part, so it's not going to ask you if you want to actually reuse some parts, or do you want to copy some parts. So you can say, I want to copy these parts. I'll reuse these parts over here. The next step is to select next, and what it does over here is allows you to give some file names. Obviously, when you're making copies, you want different file names to the original files, because if you have the same file names, Inventor might revert back to the original files, that you might change, and all your copies will just get really messed up. So always good to have unique, well, not unique files, but different file names every time you make an iCopy. You can have the destination path, the source path, workspace, or user path. You can specify it over here. It will tell you exactly where it's going to save it. You can also put a prefix in or a suffix if you like. Once you put the suffix in, just please click on apply. So if I had to go here, test, and I go apply, you'll see there that it's frame 1 start test. If I just maybe put a space in there, click on apply, you'll notice there that it puts a space in between the start and the test. So that's how you'll be able to manipulate the naming convention with prefixes and suffixes. I'm going to take that off, apply, okay, or revert. So reverts back to the suffix that you had, apply. Okay, so there we go. Now, once I'm happy with that, click on apply. It will stay in this assembly. It will create a new assembly where, it'll apply will allow me to do an iCopy again. Okay, it allows me to perform this iCopy operation and then sort of go out and see the fruits of my labor. Okay, so obviously the more copies you make, the longer it's going to take, how strong your computer is, but this should take a couple of minutes. Okay, and there you can see we've created our first iCopy. So it's quite simple. And because of the adaptivity and the sketches being driven from the geometry, you'll see how it's actually changed. Even that angle over there has changed as those points have followed the way from the first assembly to the last assembly. If you take a look at this, you will see then that there's all your different frames. So your frames start 2-1, frame start 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, okay, as well as if I take a look at where it is actually saved, you'll see there it creates an iCopy folder. You see target, iCopy, there we go, iCopy 1, and there is all the different frames I've created. Okay, so you can see my frames, assemblies, my parts, and the sketches that I've also created. So they each are individual ones as well. So I can go into each one individually and then further go and change this, and it will not affect each of the copies over here. So there we have it, iCopy, a great way to make copies which vary just slightly, or have certain points on the sketch follow other paths that you've created in another part. Thank you very much for watching.